Welcome back to the Evolving Bodies podcast, where we support women to create a positive, healthy relationship with food, with your body, and with yourselves, exactly as you are. I'm Julie, and I'm excited to guide you through today's topic, maintaining motivation towards your goals in January. Whether it's a health goal or a commitment to better self-care, this is the time of year when many of us are brimming with enthusiasm, only to find out that by the end of the month, that initial fire has fizzled out. Today, we are going to explore the difference between motivation and willpower and how understanding this can help you stay consistent with your goals. Let's start with motivation. Motivation is the spark that gets us moving. It's the excitement you feel when you set those New Year's resolutions, like deciding to eat more nourishing food or to start journaling or to carve out more time for yourself. Motivation often comes from a combination of internal and external factors. So internal motivation might be driven by your personal values. Mine is freedom. So a lot of my choices or my motivations to get things done stems from this very strong value of mine. It can come from the things that you're passionate about. So if you're passionate about strength training, then it's easier to get it done. If you're not passionate about running, it's harder to be motivated to put on those trainers, or a deep desire to perhaps in self-improvement. And I'm a huge fan of personal growth, so it's easy for me to be motivated to be better. But if that doesn't interest you, then it's harder for you to be motivated to achieve those sort of like personal growth goals. So another example is you might feel motivated to exercise because it aligns with your goal of feeling strong and healthy. We also have those external motivations, on the other hand, which can come from outside influences, like maybe encouragement from friends and family, social media inspiration, or perhaps even rewards for reaching your milestones towards your goals. But here's the thing, motivation is like a wave. It comes and it goes. It's influenced by emotions and our energy levels, and even external things like perhaps the weather or even maybe a tough day at work. That's why so many of us start the year strong, only to feel deflated when that initial burst of energy just fucks off out the door. One of the most common misconceptions about motivation is that it should always be present. And the truth is, no one feels motivated all the time. And guess what? That's okay. The key is to recognize that motivation is a good thing to begin with, but not the only thing to rely on when it comes to achieving your goal, because we will just be starting and stopping probably as often as we change our underwear. But to keep the momentum going, you need a plan for when motivation inevitably wanders off. So, like I said, motivation is wonderful, but it is also fleeting. So how do we keep going when motivation dips? And this is where willpower comes into play. So willpower is like a muscle. It's the ability to push through when you're just not feeling motivated to do it. It's what helps you choose a healthier meal when you're tired, or stick to that evening walk when it's a dark winter's evening. But just like a muscle, willpower gets fatigued. Think about how hard it is to make healthier choices at the end of a long and stressful day. That's because you've used up all your willpower on other decisions and challenges throughout the day, like trying not to punch your boss in the face all day long. You've used a lot of willpower not to do that. So solely relying on willpower to achieve your goals is like expecting your teenager to empty a room of the dirty dishes without being asked 20 times to do so first. It's pretty unrealistic. But it's also important to understand that willpower works best when it's paired with a little bit of planning. So, for instance, willpower might help you resist that cheeky takeaway once, but if you haven't planned for, let's say, satisfying, joyful meals, or stocked up on the healthier versions of food for the week, then you're likely to struggle later. This is why exclusively relying on willpower without a plan often leads to burnout or setbacks. Luckily, willpower can be strengthened over time through consistent practice. And I talk about consistency and sustainability all the time, because ultimately that's what it comes back to. Achieving those small wins when you complete the things that you say you will do can build your willpower muscle and make it easier for you to tackle those bigger challenges later, because you already know that you can do the hard shit with a little bit of willpower and this touch of motivation. And the key is to start small and build gradually, as I keep saying. Just like when you're trying to practice any other type of exercise, let's say strength training, you start small and you gradually build from there. It's no different. We just think we should be doing more. So finally, willpower thrives when you minimize decision fatigue. And yes, that is a thing. The more choices or decisions that you have to make during the day, the harder it becomes to make the right ones, or the ones that are going to help you reach your goal. Think about when you've been asked, what do you want for dinner? And all day you've had to make choices after choices. So the easy decision now is to default into those old habits, like an easy takeaway meal instead of deciding on what meals you're going to have and then cooking said meal. Absolutely, it's easier to have that takeaway because it's just another decision that you do not want to have to make. So you can also simplify your environment by removing these temptations. Now, what I mean by that is, I think when I use the words like removing temptations, it's like we have to remove all of this stuff that is the bad food, and I don't do good food, bad foods. But it is, if you have something in your house that you know that you don't want to eat anymore, but when you have reached that point and you have run out of motivation, you've run out of willpower, and you know that you're eating it because it's the easy option, get it out of your house. That's the easiest thing for you to do. And then if you really want it, it's always at the shop and you can always just go and buy it. But it's removing that temptation that's going to help you, that you don't have to use willpower to stop yourself from eating it. Because once you run out of willpower, you run out, and you're going to be diving headfirst into like a chocolate bath if you could, because you have no more willpower to stop that from happening. And perhaps even setting routines. These can all reduce this need for like constant decision making. Like I said, decision fatigue is a thing, and you've all experienced it. And this is why I love meal planning, not the dieting kind of meal planning, but with food that is quick, that is simple, and that is delicious. And if you want to dive into more on this, you can absolutely check out my free course, Bite by Bite, to discover how to plan meals that you love. And go check that out at julieridley.com/bite by bite. I will link it in the show notes as well. Did I mention it was free? Anyways, planning frees up your mental energy and holds back some willpower for the moments that truly matter. And the good news is that there are strategies that will like save some of your willpower and stay consistent even when motivation is low. And honestly, I think like I said, we do expect motivation to be there all of the time. And we're always being told we just need more motivation. We just need more willpower. And it's like, no, we have the amount of willpower that we're supposed to have right now. And we just haven't got very good strategies in place to help us overcome when those two have just been like, meh, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to work anymore. So leaving it up to you, love. You crack on and make really good decisions without me. So here are some tips on how to help you stay on track, no matter where your motivation or your willpower stands. So set up your environment for your success. Make it easier for you to stick to your goals by creating an environment that actually supports them. So for example, if you want to eat healthier, Maybe you need to be prepping healthier snacks, or maybe even meals in advance if you can. If your goal is to move more, perhaps lay out your workout clothes the night before, or even find a walking buddy. Even better, find a walking buddy to help you keep you accountable. And create systems, not just goals, but systems to help you achieve this. And, we have this goal, we have this big dream that we want, and we want to magically have that happen, but we don't have, it's almost like creating a bridge from this, that's where I want to be, but this is where I am now. That bit in between is your system. That bit in between is your bridge, where you have to figure out how it is that you're going to get there. So this system, this bridge, those action steps are the things that are going to help you get there. So instead of solely relying on the outcome getting you there, like I'm just going to eat healthy or I'm just going to run a 5K, focus on those daily actions that lead you to that goal that you want, that outcome that you're looking for. So for instance, commit to maybe eating a balanced breakfast every day, or maybe putting in your diary so you're reminded to go for a 20-minute walk every single day, each day of the week, or even 3 times a week. Systems can be used for anything and absolutely everything. I have a system for food planning and the mind-numbingly boring food shopping. And I also have a system for this podcast and for cleaning the house. Because, without a system for the podcast, it would just be all kind of, it's like slapdash and it'd be chaos, it'd be chaotic. So I'm sounding quite chaotic at the moment, but it would be chaotic and I would miss steps and I wouldn't know what I was doing. Same as with the food planning and, the food shop. There has to be a system in place for that to be done every single time, because if I don't have that system, if I don't plan, if I haven't got that plan already set up when it's shopping day, it's not happening. And not only do we spend significantly more money when we live meal by meal, it also doesn't help, because again, that comes down to that decision fatigue, where I'm every single meal, I'm like, what should we have for dinner today? And I don't want to think about it. I don't want to do it. So there is a system in place for that shopping. And then connect with your why. So when motivation disappears and it comes and it goes, go back to your why. Why did you set this goal in the first place? Maybe it's about feeling more energized. Maybe it's about improving your health. Maybe it's, maybe it's about being a positive role model for your kids. Write it down and keep it somewhere where you can see it, so that you remind yourself of this big picture that you're looking for. And just to say, that is not to shame you into this is what I need to be doing. These are all the things that I should be doing. I'm not doing any of them. It is literally just a reminder. It's that little trigger that says, oh yeah, I know what it is that I want to achieve. And if I don't do this, then it's not going to take me those steps forward. So don't use it as a shame tool. Use it as a motivational tool to remind you what it is that you want to achieve. Why do you want to do this? Why are you putting in all of this hard work? Because achieving your goal is not easy. It is hard work. So when you know why you want to do it, on those days when you just don't fucking want to, it becomes easy. I'm not going to say it works all the time, but it becomes easier for you to be like, oh yeah, I know why I said I was going to go for a walk. I'm just going to go for that walk. And it just takes that little one thing to you don't need much willpower. You don't need much motivation. You just need to know, oh yeah, I know why I was doing this. Let's just go and do it. And it's a lot of the time it's about that self-talk. And the last thing is to embrace self-compassion. One of the most powerful tools in staying consistent is self-compassion. It's absolutely easy to beat yourself up when you slip up or you skip a day. But remember, progress, not perfection, is absolutely what matters. Every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goals. So self-compassion involves kindness. When you make a mistake, or perhaps you fall short of what it is that you want to achieve this week, this month, whatever, be kind to yourself instead of being overly judgmental and just giving yourselves a hard time. Recognize that these imperfections, we could say. It's part of being part of being human. So for example, instead of saying, oh, I'm so bad at this, try saying, it's okay to have a tough day. Tomorrow is just going to be a new day and I can try again. Doesn't that sound much nicer than like, oh God, I'm so bad at this. I can't do this. I'm always going to fail at this. Like, ugh, yucky, yucky, yucky. Be kinder. Use kinder words to yourself because they are so much more motivating. You know, I wonder how many times we say that we don't have motivation when in actual fact we're speaking to ourselves like an arsehole. So of course we're not going to be motivated when we speak to ourselves like an arsehole all the time. Another one. So secondly, you are not the only one. You know, understand that everybody struggles. You are not alone in these challenges that you face or these setbacks that you have. You know, they might be unique to you, but everyone struggles. And sometimes just viewing this from this is a me problem to, oh shit, everybody struggles with this. How can I work through it? How do other people work through it? How can I I was going to say mimic, but maybe how can I copy as such what they're doing? How can I move past this challenge or this setback? And this perspective can often help you feel maybe even more connected rather than isolated, because I think sometimes when we go after our goal and we feel like we're the only one having these struggles, especially this time of year when we see all of these before and after pictures, or, you know, all of these amazing things that people are achieving on social media, and we just think it's us. We just think we're the only person that's struggling. How can this person do this and I can't? I'm such a failure, you know. And I think when we understand that everybody struggles, everybody faces challenges, and everybody has these setbacks, that we feel less isolated, you know, when things don't quite go as we planned them to be. So remember, the journey to achieving your goal absolutely rarely goes in a straight line for everybody. It's up and down. We go around the roundabout about a million times before we kind of find our exit, and we're going on a path until we find the next roundabout, and then we go around and around. But it rarely goes in a straight line, and I think we expect it to. We want it to, because we want it to be easy. Why wouldn't we? But we will always be faced with challenges and these setbacks, and you are not alone. It's about learning how to move through them. And every single time you move through a challenge or a setback and you come out the other side, knowing that you've absolutely done your best, the next time you come faced with a challenge or a setback, you already know that you can move past it. You just need to figure out how. And then avoid the spiral. So practice being present with your emotions without letting them define who you are. I think, I don't know about you, but I know that my generation, you know, feelings, emotions, and, you know, expressing those have not been very well encouraged, shall we say. So getting in touch with your feelings can be really hard. But learning how to acknowledge how you're feeling, whether it's frustration, whether it's disappointment, whether it's self-doubt, is good. You should feel those feelings. It's normal to feel those feelings. If you have not done your workout today or not been out for your walk today, it's okay to feel a little bit disappointed with yourself, because actually that feeling is helpful. That feeling is telling you that I'm doing something that I know that I don't really want to do, like as in I'm staying in when I really want to go outside. It's good to feel that feeling, but also don't let those feelings spiral into something that is that you're telling yourself it makes you a failure. Recognize that you feel disappointed, and then maybe go out and do the walk or just sit with that feeling of disappointment. And, you know, this is where emotional eating comes in as well. You know, we don't like that feeling of disappointment, so then we're going to start emotionally eating to try and bury that down. But that's a whole nother episode. But don't let those feelings that you're having, that frustration, that disappointment, those self-doubts, cause you to take those to make you stop. Don't let those feelings make you feel like you're a failure. That's what I was trying to say with all of those words. But mindfulness helps you observe those thoughts and those emotions with curiosity, and also without judgment. Just recognize that they're there. Figure out why they're there. Be like a little scientist when it comes to your thoughts and your emotions. and then figure out how you can move past it. But don't judge yourself for it, because feelings and emotions are normal. If you haven't done something that you said you were going to do, it's actually quite normal to feel disappointed, maybe with yourself, that you didn't do it. That's a normal feeling. That makes you human. So why is self-compassion so important? Because it builds trust with yourself, and it also builds resilience within you. And I think, years and years of dieting, years and years of failing to stick to this diet plan or stick to this ridiculously hard workouts have caused us to distrust ourselves. And this self-compassion helps build that trust up again. When you treat yourself with kindness and this understanding, you're more likely to bounce back when these setbacks happens, or even these perceived failures. I think a lot of people think that they failed when they haven't really failed, and they just haven't lived up to maybe their own expectations, or haven't lived up to the perfection that they wanted it to be. So I use the word perceived failures. But a failure or a setback is just something to learn from. When you bounce back from these, you can absolutely stay committed to your goal. So when you practice self-compassion, then you can bounce back to your goals, so you can get back on track much easier. And it turns self-care, because self-compassion is part of self-care, into this joyful experience rather than this goddamn punishment that we constantly kind of put ourselves through. So we are coming to the end. So as you navigate these January goals that you've set up for yourself, remember this: motivation is the spark, and willpower is the muscle, but consistency and self-compassion are the glue that just keeps it all together for you. So set yourself up for success with your surroundings, your environment, systems. Build that bridge. How are you going to get from where you are to your goal? And have a strong connection with your why. Why are you doing this? Why are you putting in all of this effort? So thank you for joining me for this episode. And if you found this helpful, share it with your friends who might be working on their goals this month too. And don't forget to subscribe, especially to the podcast email, if you want more tips on building a healthy relationship with your food, with your body, and with yourself. And don't forget about the free course. I will link it in the show notes. Until next time, take care, keep going, and I know that you've totally got this.